Hi, Jose. Thank you for your time for this conversation in the cycle of the interview for Base Progetti per l'arte, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Lorenzo. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Oh, great. And won't start with you, not from the ask the explanation about your show in Base Progetti per l'arte. The title is La favola della mela, but I won't start from the very important question from me, for me, but I think the same for you. What is it today, the independent? What is the important, the independent? What is it, your practice, the use for create your independence from the system, from different idea from outside?
Well, I guess I'm going to just jump directly into the question with an important sentence. No, I think everything independent is important because independence is an allegory of freedom, and without freedom, real art could not exist. No, we need freedom. Art needs freedom. Art is a result of freedom of thinking, freedom of action, freedom of thoughts, and freedom of ideas. So I think like when you have uh, an independent place, an independent curator, an independency promotes confidence, promotes perseverance, and it gives you like the chance to find out and make what makes you happy, because it means you're not under the constraint of other forces, other politics, other ideas, or other agencies that somehow shape what you have to do. So therefore, independence, I think it's the gasoline that art needs to live from. Perhaps in the times we live, gasoline is not the best of analogies. I guess perhaps
Exactly.
it will be more as clean energy derived from the sun.
Yes, but yes, it's true. Thank you for the your very strong sentence, and I think the independence is not exist without context, no? And for you, the context, the history is very important. I think about your work, in every your installation, you manage the heritage of the minimalist sculptor and manage the different part of the history of contemporary art, but at the same time that you sharing with the object that you take from the reality, the construction piece, example, the glass or different object. And what is it for you? It's the necessity for creating the new landscape in exist together the reference from reality and from the art, or what is it?
I think for me has always been very important to maintain a link to necessity, to reality in terms of necessity. What I mean is that it is always very important, obviously, to find out the symbolic aspect that every object actually generates, because we talk a lot about conceptual art, objectual art, but all objects are concepts as well. They have been created upon a certain idea. They have a history, and therefore they convey a lot of symbolic meaning. So therefore, I'm not afraid to work with objects, but especially I like to bind them through what they cannot escape. For example, no? In this case, it's their own mass, their own weight. Um, they are subject to the force of gravity. These are undeniable truths. They they escape the realm of let's say philosophical stance, or they escape any other part of creating narratives.
Hmm.
The weight, the gravity, the mass, the size are are constant aspects that I try to recalculate. I try to make a new composition, and from the composition arrive to different narratives or fragile poetic moments. So I think
Hmm.
it's a mixture of understanding our built environment, understanding the reality of where we are physically, and linking it to the ideas of believing in something that we can do in the moment. All these objects actually work together, kind of like a ballet, or also no, like
Mm-hmm.
I believe that a sculpture is basically is not really an object, is an event. It's a place where things happen, and different elements, different materials collide with each other, and in this relationship is where art arises.
Hmm. Is amazing, and you create a display for the audience, the possible reflecting about the instrument they use for the create the dialogue with the reality and contemporary art. And I thinking about your show in Base in Florence.
Mhm.
They use the very strong title La favola della mela, and created a very strange friction, no, with your work, because you proposed a very symbolic
Uh-huh.
idea, the very narrative idea, and you created a very surrealistic approach at the simple object from reality. And I want to ask you the explain better what is it this project for you.
Yes, it was a very important and meaningful project to me, because of the very much appraisal I have for independent projects like Base, and a personal history with Florence, etc. But talking directly into the project, uh, I believe that the title is very important. La fábula de la mela, in English, like the fable of the apple. Um, I believe that somehow, the apple as a fruit has been used all over history by different cultures, somehow in order to explain difficult truths. And we can even like relate each other directly to the fact that it is through the apple that the Catholic religion explains the expulsion of Adam and Eve from paradise. But at the end of the day, it's also that when you know something, when you suddenly are revealed with a big truth, then because you have this knowledge, you are naked again. You know something that you didn't know, and therefore you're naked. Let's say, no. And I guess then suddenly, when Isaac Newton was confronted with somehow delivering the idea of gravity, it was, if you can imagine at the time, it was a very difficult concept to explain to people. There is a force that can actually be somehow measured. It's obviously invisible, non-existent, uh, but everything actually falls to the ground because there is this force called gravity that exists. It would break people's minds in a way, no? So then you have someone like Newton finding this story about the apple falling in his head, as to the moment that he comes with the bright idea to understand why gravity is a force. I think, and maybe some scholars would kill me for saying this, that this was a made up story. He had to make up a story that everyone could relate to, and it was a simple story to explain a very complex concept. And I think at the end of the day, it is somehow the same procedure, it has the same qualities that what art is about. Art somehow brings together certain deep concepts about life, about humanity, about essence in many ways, and through art, it can be reachable for anyone. So I think it was in both ways. The title was explaining what art can be, and this is a story of the strong moment of symbolism, because then the apple obviously stands for as a symbol of gravity, but it also stands for as, I don't know, it was like the symbol for the Beatles and pop musical culture, and it was the symbol for jealousy with William Tell, and it was a symbol for computer advancement with the Apple computers, but the story that Alan Turing, the modern inventor of the computer, killed himself by biting an apple, and that's why Steve Jobs used the logo for that. And I mean, not to mention Adam and Eve, and you can go on and on and on, and then therefore I guess it was also a right city to do it, having, for example, the Masaccio murals of the expulsion of Adam and Eve from paradise. So there was a lot of links that were explained only in two simple works in Basel.
Oh, great. And a very beautiful explanation. Thank you, Jose. And I want tell me more about the metal tube. Why do you want the metal tube? For remember, at the audience, the society, the digital society today, it's they arrive from the modernist society, or what?
Well, it works in as I normally always do. It works in different layers. No, these kind of metal tubes that are used for the sewerage in the streets. In a way, they're not supposed to be seen. In a way, they're not supposed to be there. Basically, always when we encounter one of these tubes, is because they are fixing the street, and it's always a hustle, no? It's something. Let's say it's something we don't like to see, and they're always an impediment to our movement. They're never supposed to be there. So it's an improbable object that tends to annoy us. It's an annoying object to counter. At the same time, it's a very simple but very important technology, let's say, for making cities grow. Uh, and at the end of the day, it's also a beautiful round shape. It has a beautiful like round circle, and it's made of metal, and it's very povera in so many ways. Uh, so and it's easy to get wherever you are in the world. So I just think it's a very sculptoric object that society has already produced for their own needs. And as a sculpture, you can take it, lend it for a while, and then makes life easier, at least for the artist.
Great. But Joseph, what is it, your role in contemporary art? You are a sculptor, you are a painter, you are an architect, you are poetry.
I'm a little bit of everything, uh, and a little bit of none. I would say that I do enjoy working with sculpture very, very much, because in the very early beginnings of my connection with art, all I used to do was always paint and draw, paint and draw, paint and draw. Therefore, when I was much older and started doing art professionally, um, I guess then I really wanted to leave behind my past as a drawer and as a painter. Um, so I put a lot of effort into my induction into sculpture, and now I'm also just trying to come to terms that I can do both things.
Mhm.
I studied academically architecture, but really never worked as one. So I would say I'm just an artist working with ideas and the best way to make them real in whatever medium I find possible.
Wow, thank you. It's a very great point of view. And now I want to ask you about what you think about the role of the no-profit space uh, today in the art system.
Yeah.
Is important or not, and what you think about the no-profit space. It's important in your history, in your past, and your
Yeah.
in your yes uh, relationship
Yeah.
with the contemporary art.
Um, yes, I'm happy to share with the audience that will hear this conversation that back in Guadalajara, Mexico, where I live, uh, back in the late 90s, I opened myself alone a very, very small, maybe 2 by 3 meters, independent space called Progetto Zapopan, which was focused on the idea of blurring the lines between the public and the private. So it was as like this very, very little gallery, let's say, but the door was open 24 hours a day, and no one would take care of whatever was inside. So it would become like an extension of the street. It would be like placing, public art, but inside of a private, let's say, gallery, open door. And it was very helpful for me as a young artist to develop good conversations with the other artists I invited to participate. I never did there anything myself as an artist. I was just like curator, promoter, everything. I would do everything. I would install the works, mop the floor, design the invitations, go and pick up the artist at the bus station, everything, no? Uh, After a few years, then I joined with two friends, Gonzalo Lebrija and Fernando Palomar, as a joint venture to do a little bit more ambitious artist run space, because these were two friends artists, that was called OPA in Guadalajara.
So sorry, Jose, sorry for the interruption. For the your first project, I
Yes.
have this question: who is your audience?
Well, the audience was mainly people walking by, bystanders, and very young people that I knew through university studying architecture, and also the people that used to go to a bar next door. Basically, everyone who used to go to the bar it was also funny because you would see people coming into the bar at 11 p.m. or leaving the bar to go home at 2 a.m. and then basically just stepping inside the project to see the art at unusual times on their also unusual states of being, no? Because sometimes they have a few drinks before they go home. So it was a funny experiment.
It's great. It's very public sculpture. It's public project. It's public space.
Yes, yes.
It's very extremely public. Okay, sorry for the interruption. I'm very curious about the second experimental, the no-profit space open.
And the second, it was in a much bigger space. It was in the top floor of what it used to be a very important building in the city, built in the 1960s as an idea of modernism coming into the city. But with the time, as with all the modernism project, things like fell down in a way. It got a little bit forgotten, and what it used to be this like important building, it ended up being like a forgotten one with very cheap offices of lawyers and like funny like offices of bureaucrats. But we were able to secure for this project the entirety, the whole uh, uh, upper floor, and with the help of individuals and of the Humex collection, we got some money to refurbish the space, very very simple, and then as an act of faith with very little budget, we started inviting some artists that we knew. And I remember we had a very important consignment that it was, since we are not and we don't want to be a commercial gallery, and we are not an official institution, we don't want to follow their rules of engagement. No, like for example, we didn't do a press release. We didn't have a text in the entrance of the space unless the artist wanted. We we would let the artist choose a project until the very last second, and if like one day before she or he wanted to change everything, it was okay. And then I mean, we did a lot of things that were truly like different from other spaces in that sense. I'm not saying that we were playing, but we were very, let's say we were very relaxed in a way. Like
Okay.
we said, oh, whatever happens, don't worry. And
But you created a very important experimental about freedom and the casuality.
exactly. And we had very funny like stories happen there. We learned a lot as artists, because I'm jumping maybe into a different subject now, but what I think it's also very interesting in independent spaces is that there is a horizontal relationship that both parts nurture from each other. The artist running it, or the collective of curators running it, and the artist exhibiting. It's a horizontal thing, while with very like big commercial galleries or very big institutions, it's like a vertical thing. It's always like the big institution inviting the artist from below, and normally it's kind of like the artist feels they're having like something very important given by the institution, no? And while this is a smaller independent space is a horizontal relationship, and both parts profit from each other very much. It's a non-profit in terms of money, but I think it's more profit in other terms. Both parts profit a lot from conversations, knowledge, stories, situations. So I think that's what happened with my personal story, constructing and developing and doing with my friends this place called OPA. A lot of the artists we invited, at the end of the day, we ended up becoming like good friends. We were, I don't know, we were drinking beer while we were installing the show with music. And after we would go out, or we were. It was. I think it would be very difficult to replicate these days.
Why?
Because I feel that a younger generation of artists is very starving of a kind of seriousness in everything, in order to feel the professionality of art. No, I think a lot of the old school freedom, it's. I'm not saying it's extinct, but it's definitely harder to find.
Yes, I understand. And I have the last question. What you want to suggest at the young artist in they ask you the suggestion about the make the new space, the non-profit space?
Well, I would suggest just do it. Really do it. I suggest that conditions will never be perfect for doing it, so just do it with whatever you have, and as long as you go, things start to roll. Somehow, if you do it with a lot of faith, no, with a lot of passion, that covers for the deficit of other things you don't have. But you have a lot of excitement, you have a lot of passion, and if you have any space that is available, the recipient is not the important part. The important is the content. No, so don't worry, just do it.
Great, José. Thank you for your explanation about your art, your practice of freedom in the art system. Thank you for your suggestion at the new generation of artists and curators. They want check what is it the freedom today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lorenzo.
Thank you and good luck for your work.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.